Merry Christmas! Today is the 23rd piece of advice for my childhood self, and it happens to be the day before Christmas. No, the day of Christmas. If you're in Canada or America, it's the day before. But for me, it's Christmas, and I'm not recording this on Christmas Day because on Christmas Day, I will be flying up to Cairns, and I will be going and hanging out in the rainforest and just living life, just doing the things and really connecting in with my why, like I spoke about in the last video. And so I'm recording this one ahead of time so that I can post it on Christmas Day. And the thing I want to talk about in this video for the 23rd piece of advice to my childhood self would be this idea of leaning into fear. So what does that mean? In line with this idea of finding your why, and there's been this discovery for me for this last couple of years, and mostly this year really, I've come to this understanding that obviously that you need to be connected to a why. That's how you're going to get stuff done. And you have to be totally able to be ecstatic in the fact that you're failing, because failure just means you're moving forward. You have to know that it's all going to work out. And success is a long-term game. Success is something that isn't just an overnight. Like, I think one thing that has really become real to me this year that I've begun to truly understand is I've always looked at people who were successful and been like, how did you get there? Like, I didn't understand how you got from where I was to where I wanted to be. Like, even the thought that I right now was not easily paying rent and food and this and that. It was always just making ends meet. And I was like, how am I going to do this with family? How am I going to have a house? How am I going to, food at my table, live in a place where I want to, get the things I need? And it was always this story of how am I going to do that? So I began to, earlier this year, I was working in a job in landscaping, and really fun job. But the best thing it was so good because I was connecting to nature, and I was just like, just not having to take on other people's things. It was just me and the nature and just what I needed to get done. But the thing that I love most is I got to listen to music or headphones, and I always was listening to podcasts and people. And so realistically, probably for 6 to 7 hours of my 8-hour day, I was listening to people speak about their success and their failures. And I specifically was listening to a few different ones. One in particular was How to Quit Your Day Job. I don't remember her name, but anyway, it's a really good podcast. I loved it. And it was just interviewing people about how they got to where they were. And when you listen to that much content in, like, I think it was a couple of months, like that space of time, like that much in such a short space of time, you can begin to bridge connections. If you like have it really spread out and you hear one story and another story and another story, it kind of, you don't really draw the correlations. But because I was listening to it all in such a condensed amount of time, I was beginning to see the through line between all of them. And so this idea of finding your why was really important. People weren't motivated by the how of their day-to-day routine. It was their big mission, their big why was the thing that motivated them. That was number one. Another thing that I noticed is that even though I had this perception that people just became famous, or they just, not that fame is ever something I need, but just became wealthy or became into their own, they just had this unique talent. I just thought that people who were successful just had this unique talent that I never would have, and therefore they are going to be successful and I'm not going to be. But that was just what I was being presented with. That was the thing I was focusing on. But when I actually looked at the details of it, And the part of this podcast that I love and other podcasts that I followed was that they were really breaking down like, Rachel Hollis talks about, don't mistake someone else's middle for your beginning. And it's so true that it's so easy to look at someone when they're in their success and be like, oh, wow, like, why am I not where they're at? It's like, well, for example, Rachel Hollis, she's been working at that for 15 years. And what am I sitting here complaining or comparing my 26-year-old self to her 30-something-year-old self? And she's got another 15 years of different experiences and trying and failing and being in gratitude and having a gratitude practice every day for 15 years. I just say, and has been instilling these things for 15 years, and I've been doing it for a year, maybe a couple months. Like, I need to be committed to, this is a long game. This is not, I'm going to get rich in a year, quick, lose weight, quick that we seem to be connecting to in this day and age, especially with the internet, of like, quick fix, quick that. It's like, we need to be looking at longer term things, more sustainable, more durable, more lasting change. And so part of that, in knowing that success is a long-term game, is feeding into this idea that we are going to make mistakes, we are going to fail. Awesome. And we're celebrating. I can't talk today. We're celebrating this. And so this idea of leaning into fear, what I mean by that is, in order to do things that you want to be doing. So for example, I've been wanting to work in this kind of field with bringing personal development to kids, in less of better words. I am sure that is a different way to say it, but basically that's the moral of what I would love to share, is taking the wisdom from ancient texts like yoga and modern personal development and all the things that are like modernized for adults to, you know, be their best selves and rewrite their stories and do all this stuff, but like condense that information and package it in a way that it can be received by someone younger. In a way, it's like kind of that idea of Tony Robbins going and learning from all the mentors and learning from people who are 20 years his senior. So he sped up his learning so much. And so I had this idea that, because as a child, that's what I wished I had. I wish I had someone to give me the parcel of, here is the things that would be most valuable for you in life. And I've had to really go seek it out, and I've loved the journey. But what a gift I think it would be to give to children this understanding that they are enough, like cultivating that in, like, save them. Most people say in their 20s it's self-doubt, like worrying about other people's opinions, and you you spend 10 years of your life on using that energy toward something that does not serve you. And imagine what people could achieve, what people could do, what they could become, and what this world would look like if people were, instead of spending 10 years so caught up in their head about what other people want and need and blah, 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 and not communicating in their relationships, not being the best partner, and because they're so caught up in their own stories, if they could learn all this information as kids and enter into being an adult in their 20s with so much more of an understanding of who they are, understanding of their programs and how to unwrite them, how to interact with people so that they're living from their truth, loving themselves, like, so that media and this whole idea of the online world is not affecting them because they just love themselves. They realize that consumerism isn't going to fill their cup because they are already full. I see such a huge change in the world, and that's what lights me up. That's my why. And so I've always wanted to create something that moves me toward doing that. I never really knew what that looked like, but I just thought that was so exciting. Obviously, I'm getting very excited talking about it. But in terms of if I wanted to do those things, I actually had this fear that came up in terms of, what about if I fail? What about if no one likes it? What about if it's totally not useful and I Other fears like, who am I to say this stuff? What experience do I have that makes me qualified to even talk about this? I could list a million different fears that I came up with. And even though I've been thinking about this for probably I've wanted this since high school. I remember the day in high school where I had the thought of, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have had this thing to me? And then over the years, it's come up in different ways. But I've never done anything with it because of this fear factor of it coming up, or the fact that I've tried. I've tried a few times, but it didn't happen quickly enough for me. It was like, it's just not happening, therefore, must not be for me. Or maybe this isn't the thing I'm meant to be doing. And I ruled it out too quickly. So that fear of rejection or it not being accepted or whatever fear was coming up for me stopped me from doing the thing. Or thinking that, I can make a mistake. I can get it wrong. That it can be done in a right or a wrong way. And it's what I'm realizing, you need to follow your next thing. And so that can sometimes come up in this idea of fear of, you can get an idea and then you go, ooh, I shouldn't do that. Like, that's kind of seems a bit out of my comfort zone. And for me, I realize now that means I need to do it. So for example, this idea for the 30-day videos came about and I was like, that'd be really fun, I should do that. And then, no, I shouldn't because of this and this and this. And, what about if no one likes it? What about if this? What about if that? And like, you know what, no one's watching. Like, if I had, as I'm like doing it, no one's watching it, I should just stop. Like, what's the point? And it's like, well, that's not the point. The point was to do 30 videos. And I realized that by doing it, I'm actually learning so much of my own voice and what I'm doing. And it's like, again, tagging into this idea that it's a long-term game. It's like, I can't judge this based on 30 days. I can't even judge it on a year. If I did this for a year, I can't judge it. If I am doing this for 5, 10 years and I'm still not going anywhere, maybe I need to look at my reality of, I've tried everything, I'm reaching out to people and it's not connecting with an audience. And then maybe that's not something that I'm going to be doing for a business, because obviously a business needs an audience and needs someone who wants to receive something, that you're creating value for someone else. And if this is not valuable for someone, then that's okay too. But it calls to me, and I realize now that this idea of throwing spaghetti at the wall is when the fear comes up, you go, no, I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. And when you break through that fear, you prove to yourself that it wasn't as scary as you thought it would be, and that it's actually possible. Things that you thought were beyond possibility, that weren't within your realm, suddenly become accessible to you. And then these big, huge dreams that you have might become a little bit closer. And I guess on from that, it's just promoting this idea of going out and doing things. And that is truly going to be the measure of your success. If you're sitting there having all these great ideas, and I think every other person is having a great idea. If you're sitting there and you're kind of hoarding your great idea, and you're never doing anything with it, it's not very helpful for anyone else. No one else is going to get value from it if you're just sitting on it and finding the perfect way to do it. It's like, that's a myth. There's no perfect way to do anything. You can't get it right. The way that you get it right might be totally wrong for someone else, or the way that you think you've totally screwed it up might be the perfect way for someone to receive and hear what you needed to say. It's not for you to say. And so I would say, in terms of when we're doing things and working toward goals and finding your why, you need to lean into fear and just do things. Commit to getting shit done. Commit to showing up every day and doing things, and just like, even if it's just a step, even if it's just an inch, a centimeter closer to what you thought that you might want. Perfect. Amazing. You've done your job. And if over 10, 15 years, that if you're moving a centimeter every day, it might not seem like much. It seems like snail pace, which it is. But that centimeter every day is 360 centimeters a year. I can't do math, 3.5 meters. You know, you're going to move. You're going to start moving. Like, it might not be momentous and crazy, but you're going to be moving, and you're going to be moving in a direction that you love and lights you up. And the more you move and the more you take action, the easier it is to be in action and to do the things that you love and stay connected to your why. And yeah, so I guess when the fear comes up again, this idea of having a why can be really important, because when you're thinking of goals that are quite big, this internal dialogue comes up and convinces you why you shouldn't and why not and this and that. It's like a protection mechanism, right? It's like a parent internally, just making sure you're okay, just checking in. And you just need to be like, you know what, inner parent fear, yes, hello, love you, but I love that you're trying to look out for me, and I like that you are trying to share your wisdom with me, and you have this past experience that informs you that this might be the case if this happens, that might receive social rejection if it doesn't get accepted, or, which is not real, by the way. Other people's opinions are their opinions, and it's just a reflection of them. And, you know, you might fail and could get it wrong, which you never can, because you're just learning and adapting and changing and totally transforming ideas, and creativity is flowing through you, and you're getting toward where you want to be if you're in motion. So I just think leaning into fear, doing things that scare you, I don't mean like life-threatening. That's not what I mean. If it's like, I should jump off this cliff and this bridge because I'm scared, like, use your judgment. What I mean by following into fear, and I don't mean like, if I like throw this knife around or do Russian roulette with a gun, like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying fear based on like social rejection or things that scare you in terms of your own personal judgments or your own past stories, and like things that are your day-to-day, things that you want to be doing. You don't want to cut your hand off. You don't want to anyway, you know what I'm saying. You don't want to do those things. You don't really want to jump off a bridge. Actually, speaking of bridges, so this past year I've been focusing on things that scared me and pushing through them, because the reason I didn't do them was because of fear. So actually one of mine was jumping off a bridge with a harness. So I did bungee jumping, and I'm not a fan of heights, to say the least. And so I was like, you know what? See the fear, feel the fear, do it anyway. And I was trying to prove to myself that the fear wasn't going to stop me from living my life. That this not love of heights was not going to stop me from doing something that I wanted to do. And it was safe, and it was within reason, and it wasn't harming me. It was a safe environment, but it was still scaring me. And I was like, you know, I gotta do it anyway. It was embarrassing how much I screamed. It was embarrassing. And I don't know that I would ever do it again. It was not the funnest time, but I did it. And I did this. I basically had to be pushed off. I didn't want to jump. But I did it anyway. And that just proved to myself that I am capable of pushing past fear of things that hold me back because I think that I can't, as opposed to I don't want to. They're different. So yeah, I think that is my thing. I guess we're kind of coming into the end of the year, which is kind of cool, because this is kind of the time where a lot of people, you know, reflecting on the year, and the new year's coming in, thinking about maybe things that you want to be doing for the next year. And when you're setting goals, really focusing on your why, I think, can be very important. And then following on from that, when things show up in terms of like, like you might get inspired and be like, I don't know, you might be like, I want to surf. And that's like inspiring to you. But then a fear might come up of, but I'm not athletic, or I've never done anything like that before, or the money, I don't think I'll have the money to support that. And there's like all these stories might come up around this thing to stop you from doing it. Whereas it's like, for me, it's like, okay, surfing, okay, money, I got to get a board. But it's like, okay, that's a really big why for me. That means that for the next 2 months, I'm going to save up. I'm going to make sure I work a few extra shifts. I'm going to make sure that I get really focused on where I'm being and get really intentional with my money so that I can every morning wake up and go surfing. And maybe until then, if I'm not surfing, maybe I can find a way to borrow a board. Or if not, maybe I just need to refine it and maybe I just go for a swim in the morning, first thing. Every morning go for a swim and just get in the ocean to get that habit rolling of waking up early, getting out into the ocean, getting outside into nature. And so you can't let the stories that come up stop you from doing the things that feel inspiring. And if those fears are coming up around money or what people will think of you, that can be a big one. Like if you like, oh, I want to start this, but what about if my friends judge me? Like, oh, I want to quit drinking, but then I'm going to lose all my friends who do drink. And that, I've been in that boat, and I did that actually one year. I was like, oh, I'm going to quit drinking. It lasted 3 months. But I was like, I was quit drinking for a year, and I didn't. But I went 3 months, and it was actually quite interesting, the stories that came up around me feeling this need to drink because of other people. And I realized that that's not a very good reason to drink anyway. If I want to drink, I want to drink. If I don't want to drink, I don't want to drink. And that's okay. I shouldn't feel pressured to. I shouldn't feel like I have to just because everyone else is. So yeah, goals. Find your why. Connect into that. Fears are going to come up around things that really do inspire you and fire you up and make you feel really excited. But you just have to hear the fear and see it for what it really is and take that and just go, you know what? I see you, I hear you. Just like a parent, you know, I love your opinion. I love that you care enough about me to want to take care of me, but I'm actually going to be okay. I'm good. Thank you for checking in. That's like when the fear comes up, that's kind of the conversation I have with it. I don't talk to my emotions, I swear. No. No, just like getting that dialogue to come back to reality, and they become more, less emotionally charged when you acknowledge them in that way and let it, instead of just really caving into the fear, letting it rule you and stop you from doing the things you want to do. Yeah, so that is day 23. It's kind of cool. I'm kind of excited. I don't know what I'm going to do at the end of this, but I'm feeling almost like a bittersweet that I won't be doing these, but I think I'm going to be continuing something in a different form because I do really love this. I love seeing what comes through, and this is one thing that has been, it's in my why again, because this whole like sharing what I want to do, and I don't know what exactly, I'm not focusing on the nitty gritty of the hows of how I'm going to get to that goal that I was speaking about earlier, but I know that it's a big why for me, and I just know that if I follow my highest excitement, when fear comes up, I'm like, I have a good idea, and fear comes up, I'm like, I got to do that. It's like, oh, I have had this, I've had this goal this year of speaking more than just to a camera, of speaking to, you know, real live humans in a space. And I don't know what that looks like, but I know it excites me, but I also get fear around it. It's this idea of, why would people listen to me? Who's going to want me to talk to them? Like, all this different stuff shows up. And it's like, how's that going to happen? How am I going to make that happen? And I get into the how, and the fear goes into how. And so I just have to remind myself, why? Why would I want to speak to people? Because I want to inspire people, because I have a story to tell, because I have this thing that I've been wanting to do for forever, and success is a long-term game, so I need to stay focused and keep doing things every day, 1 centimeter every day, one little thing every day that scares me, that is pushing past a fear of something that I really want to do, and just do it anyway. And that's going to bring me closer to where I want to be. So this is the end. I'm going to go. Have an amazing day. If you're listening to this on Christmas, Merry Christmas. If not, hope you had a good Christmas. And New Year's is approaching, so I'm definitely spending a lot of time getting quiet and reflecting and getting intentional about what my next year is going to look like. And I'm getting kind of excited about what 2019 looks like. And if you have things that you're working toward, I would love to hear about them. If you want to reach out and share what you do, if there are any things that any dreams or goals that you are looking to move toward, but maybe you do have some fear, and if you're not sure what that looks like to navigate that, I might not know exactly what that particular fear looks like, but I've been in the habit of pushing through the fear and know what that looks like. So if you just need someone to chat to, feel free to message me. We can have a chat. So anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Oh, and my location is going to be changing. This will be probably one of the last ones in this place, because I'll be on what do you call it? On tour. I'm going to be on tour for the rest of the videos because I'll be traveling around down the east. Yes, we're on the East Coast, Claire. Yes, the East Coast of Australia, which will be fun. So anyway, I send love to you and Merry Christmas to you.